definitely had the opposite embarrassment where I found it, and I still do. I really struggled with the fact that I wasn't making a living, and really struggled with, feeling like, it's incredibly indulgent to take hours and hours and hours to write a novel that you don't know will be published. And even if it is published, does that translate ever to earning money for those hours? Well, I don't know. But it's it takes a lot of chutzpah ultimately to do that, and it wasn't always easy for me, and that's part of why I couldn't work in a coffee shop. I did feel a need to make a living and to prove myself, and at times I've really struggled with the fact that I haven't made money. And right now I'm a student, so even though I'm working full-time, pretty hardcore hours, I'm not making money, and I'm paying money to my university. It's Canada, so it's not like the U.S. It's not tens of thousands of dollars, but still. And paying money for childcare. So I come maybe more from the opposite place, where it's hard to carve out that time to do art because it's very difficult, I think, realistically and also in terms of identity for smart young women to say, this matters, even though I can't show that it matters in terms of an income.
I wanted to just carry on what you just said. I assume that I've never been married, so I'm totally reaching here. I assume that when you get married, and if it's a good marriage, that it becomes okay to depend on someone. And you talk about coming from a feminist upbringing, which I kind of associate with like a very fierce independence. Is it true that you do come to depend on someone, and does that clash with the fierce independence that I assume you felt in your marrow growing up?
Well, I don't think I ever identified feminists as fierce independence. I think it was just a matter of sort of saying women are equal to men, and then we can have the same expectations that a boy would, and don't need to do things just because they're feminine or worry about that. I mean, I remember when I was in high school, I started a women's issues club. That's kind of an awkward word, but I didn't really know what to call it when I was 16. But the idea was that we got together and talked about healthcare for women and talked about abortion rights, went to the abortion rally in D.C. and stuff. And I remember my sister, who's 7 years older than me, saying to me, you shouldn't do that because guys aren't going to like it. And, it's just raging because, of course, I wasn't doing it to meet guys, right? But, no, I mean, do I depend on my husband? Absolutely. Of course. I depend on him in every way, including as a writer, because he's an amazing reader, and because through these times when I would struggle and feel like, what's the point, and this is indulgent, he never said that. It was like, you have to write this novel. You're writing this novel. This novel's good. You need to give your time to this novel, and thought that was reasonable, whereas somebody else might have been like, you want me to watch the kids so you can write that damn novel of yours? Are you crazy, right? But I never got that from him at all. So I don't really see a contradiction there.
Could you have written this book without the wisdom that comes from marriage and motherhood?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to... These things happened as I was writing the book. I don't know that wisdom necessarily comes from marriage, and I do think wisdom comes from motherhood, but I don't think you need motherhood to have wisdom either. So those experiences impacted me, and I'm sure therefore impacted the book in all sorts of ways. But I guess your question makes me nervous. It makes me worried that it's some kind of women need that, that classic sort of, this is the environment in which women thrive. And it is, in fact, for me, the environment in which I thrive, but I certainly don't think it's necessary for wisdom or for other women to thrive.